So I want to talk about if you're in your 50s and you're going back to college. I know that this is very specific, but I think that there is a lot of people wondering this and a lot of people stressing out about being in their 50s and going back to college. So if you don't know me, I am Professor Dave Massac. I'm an associate professor of innovation strategy and entrepreneurship, and I created this whole reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can. There's so many people that help me out that I want to pay the favor for to help you out as much as I possibly can. All right, so I actually started off doing this with I built an app, put it out to get feedback on your writing, and now I've become this YouTuber, whatever that is. Okay, so going back to school, going back to college in your 50s. This could be related even if you're in your 40s and 60s and stuff like that. It's just like as an older person going back to college. I know it's an interesting sort of concept because all of you feel this tremendous amount of stigma that you are living your life. You're like that dude, what was the movie where, oh my gosh, Old School, you know, like they're going back to school and doing the like goofy things, right? So, you know, the problem is that there's a lot of stigma associated with it. And I want you to sort of think about a couple of things. So to get over this stigma, I want you to break it down in terms of what you actually are doing. And it's kind of stupid when you think about it as like why we have this stigma. All you're doing is writing a little bit, and you're reading a little bit, and you're maybe listening to something a little bit. So on your day-to-day basis, I'm assuming many of you probably read a little bit at the nighttime. Some of you probably write for work, and some of you probably are, you know, listening to podcasts and things like that, self-help and all of that kind of stuff. So if you think about like the actual act of it, of going back to college, it's dumb to think that there's some sort of stigma associated with it. It's just like people being silly and they're not really understanding the context. Now, I'm going to tell you this right now that it is going to feel like crap when you're doing it. You have an extra burden of that sort of stigma that's associated with it. So if you are, you know, in your early 20s, you know, your teens, and you go to school and you go to a prestigious school, then everybody's going to say, hey, look at how amazing you are and all that kind of crap, right? But if you're doing that when you're in your 50s, people are going to be like, what the heck? What are you doing? So what I just want you to sort of reflect on is you need to wallow in that stigma, and you really need to like take charge of it, like actually reverse it, right? So there's lots of things in terms of people being stigmatized that they reverse it and it gives them power. So actually say, yeah, you know what? I'm okay with this. This is actually really cool that I'm going back to school. I'm doing these kind of things. And the problem is not me, it's you. And all of this is really good stuff. Like this is good human behavior to learn things. Like really good human behavior, right? Like that is being a wise, important person that actually takes the time and says, hey, wait a minute, I am not that smart and I can learn a little bit. And that's okay, right? So why wouldn't you claim it as like, this is amazing, right? So if you are, you know, there's lots of groups that are stigmatized, you know, whatever that stigmatized group is. And the people that claim it as they are, and they turn it around and they turn it into something that's amazing. You know, you can think of these stigmatized groups. There's many of them. They always turn it around and they take charge of that thing. And then they become the powerful force of what they are. You know, the Pride Parade, for example, is a symbol of, you know, diversity. It is a symbol of really cool things. It's a symbol of progression. And yet many years ago, I remember when it first started coming out, it was like, oh my gosh, you know, all of these kind of things associated with it, right? Like a lot of people were thinking about it. Now you've got, almost all political actors, except for, certain groups, are participating in it. It's a big celebration, all of these kind of things. And that's what you need to do. Reverse it. Think about like, this is dumb. Why are people even considering this as stigmatized? Because it is. It's kind of stupid to think about that. It's like you're doing nothing really different than anybody else in their day-to-day basis, and you actually are doing a very positive thing. Learning and developing and becoming a better human being is a good thing, if you haven't heard. And then flip it around and then give the old F you to everybody else that is making fun of you or you feel that pressure. Got to claim it for who you are. That's it. You got to take leadership of your life. Nobody else is going to do it for you. And once you turn it around and you took that courage to actually take those courses and go back to school, which takes a freaking lot of courage to do it, turn it around and stick it to those jerks. Do the old F you to them, if you know what I'm saying. You got to have courage. It's what it takes, or else you're never going to get there. All right. Good luck to it. You're awesome. Keep up the good work.